I'm here at the rimfire range of the West End Gun Club to give a breakdown of my Brownells 1022 Takedown Rifle. When I say Brownells 1022 Takedown, it is not a Ruger 1022. It's built on a Brownells BRN-22TR receiver. So short backstory on this rifle. Back when Ruger came out with the 1022 Takedown several years ago, I didn't think too much of the gun. I already had a 1022 standard rifle, and so this didn't really appeal to me up until 2017 SHOT Show when Magpul released their X22 backpacker stock. Now the X22 backpacker stock, which is what you see here, it creates this nice form factor by which the two halves of the 1022 Takedown can be put together into a small form factor by which you can put in a small bag. It's a nice, compact, slim form, doesn't really take too much space. And so I figure when this X22 stock was released, it gave this whole platform a nice niche use by which you can have a field survival rifle that you can throw in the back of a truck and just have a nice casual gun for emergency use. Or if you're just out, you know, in government land or whatever, you can have a nice gun for plinking or whatnot. And it's a nice rifle to have when you're going out somewhere and not thinking about shooting at all. So I decided to get this, but at the time I was looking more into a factory rifle, not into building one. And so I was looking at Ruger off-the-shelf rifles, but there wasn't really a I guess I could have just gotten one, but there wasn't really a configuration I liked, short of just they had one that was sold with the Magpul stock. So when Brownells sent out an email a couple months ago with their BRN-22 receiver, I looked at the price, and at the time it was a $139, I think, or $120. It was a $129 introductory price, and so I jumped on it, thinking that, hey, even though a factory off-the-shelf rifle would be less expensive to make, if I'm going to build or have this specific platform, I figure it'd be nice just to have to build one because it's just more fun that way. And so pretty much what we have here is the BRN-22TR, which is the railed version, the pick rail version. There's a regular BRN-22T, which is the round top version. And I paired that up with an OEM Ruger bolt with the Ruger OEM charging handle and a kid trigger. This is a single stage kid trigger with a 1.5 pound preset from the factory. We have the Tactical Solutions, I believe it's a 16.5 inch barrel by Tactical Solutions in quicksand. That's the finish of it. And then it's all mated together on a Magpul X22 backpacker stock in flat dark earth. And I decided to top it off with a red dot sight from Primary Arms, which I recently acquired. And it's I didn't want to go with a scope simply because I wanted to keep a small form factor rather than having a big scope on this gun, because the whole goal of this is to keep a nice, small, compact form factor. Even a 2-to-7 scope would just be too big. I think the most 2-to-7 power scopes are about 11 inches in length for the body. You can go to 1-to-4 or 1-to-6, and that's still going to be around 8-inch, maybe a 10-inch length scope. And so that even with the rings, you're talking low rings, you'll add a good 2 inches on top of that. And so I figured that wasn't really the option for me. And so I decided to go with a red dot sight. And this Primary Arms red dot sight is, I would say, about 1.5 inches tall, roughly. It's a 2 MOA dot, and it has adjustable brightness, and it runs on a 2032 battery. So as far as the gun itself, it shoots pretty well. I tested the return to zero, because that's one of the big issues with this gun, is the fact that when you split the gun in its two halves, that has a tendency to drift. And I tested it with a T36 Weaver scope, a 36 power scope, by which I fired a 5-round or a 10-round group, took it apart, reassembled it, shot another group, took it apart, reassembled it, and shot another group, and it didn't really drift. There might have been some slight right to left drift that day, but I think that was more in line with the rain and the weather conditions and the wind conditions. But for the most part, it doesn't really have that much of a drift. Accuracy is concerned, the gun shoots relatively decently. I think with a red dot scope, it was shooting about 3/4. You can shoot about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch at 25 yards, which isn't too exciting when it comes to a 22. Obviously, a bolt rifle will shoot much better, but given the fact of what this gun is and how it's designed, shooting a 3/4 to a 1 inch group at 25 yards is acceptable in my opinion. Out at 50, it shoots about at 1.25 to 1.5 inches, and it can spread out to as much as 1 3/4, 2 inches, depending on the conditions. But I think for what you're getting out of this platform, you can't expect the utmost accuracy. And if you want the utmost accuracy out of a semi, you're probably just going to get a standard 1022 not a takedown. And if you want more accuracy out of a 22, you're going to get a bolt rifle. But as far as this platform's concerned, I'm pretty content with it. I would say a little bit more than content. I'm actually quite happy with it. The only one caveat with this gun is the fact that the iron sights do not clear the pick rail. So when I acquired this barrel, I wanted the iron sights, but I didn't think it was going to be a problem considering Tactical Solutions sells a full-on rifle with the pick rail on their receiver. But when you run this, when they run the rear iron sights up just enough so you clear the pick rail, it's still going to shoot about 11 inches high at 25 yards from your point of aim. So that's one thing to note. So if you're going to buy a Tac Solutions barrel with the iron sights and you want to use those iron sights, I highly recommend you get the non-pick rail version of the Brownells receiver. Go with the round top version. It'll let you use the iron sights. Or if you want, I mean, I have the iron sights run up just enough where I can clear the pick rail and have that still have the sight picture. I can still shoot on a target. So at 25 yards or 50 yards, given that trajectory, I just need to aim higher and I'll hit when I want to hit or whatever. Or sorry, aim low and I'll hit when I want to hit. And the only other thing is the fact that the bolt or the receiver only accepts OEM bolts. It is a fairly tight fit compared to a standard 1022 Action. The bolt drops in with a nice snug fit. Now the issue with that is if you want to run an aftermarket bolt, you're not going to be able to fit it in this gun from what I understand. There were some people on the net said that they tried a kid bolt and it did not fit. Volquartsen bolts may not fit, so if you have a third-party aftermarket bolt, it's probably not going to run in this gun, so you're going to have to run an OEM bolt, which is unfortunate because when I ordered an OEM bolt from Midway, the quality of that bolt wasn't all that great. It was covered, it was dirty, and it looked, it had this brownish residue on it, and you had to clean it all off. I wanted to run a aftermarket bolt just for, you know, that nice fit and finish, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to stick with the OEM bolt. Other than that, like I said, I'm pretty happy with this gun. I have a written review that's going to be posted on my website, so you want to check that out, okfj.net. I'll have the link in that video description when I have it ready to go. And by the time you see this video, I'll probably have the article posted. Anyway, this is the Brownells BRN-22TR receiver, which is the pick rail version. You can also get one with just the round top from Brownells, and right now I still think it's at $129, or you can probably, once the price goes back to retail, it's $150, but I think it's a good option for anyone who wants to put together a takedown rifle as opposed to buying a off-the-shelf rifle and then adding aftermarket parts after the fact.